Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I am Amir Hussain, and I hope that all of you are fine. We are discussing from the past few days the topic that is print revolution and its impact, and we had discussed a lot about it, what the impact of print revolution was, and continuing the same discussion that we had in our earlier video lectures, that is how the print created a fear and how there were religious debates that took place among the religious authorities, how the religious authorities, how the rulers of the then time, how the many writers and artists, how they looked upon the print, how they reacted to this print. And I told you in that this, with the coming of the print, with the print revolution, a large section of society, that is these, which included the religious authorities, monarchs, religious authorities, especially this church authorities, monarchs who were despots, who didn't want that they should be questioned, who wanted that there should be no checks and balances on them, and many writers and artists who worked under their patronage, they, they had a fear associated with this print, because they thought that might be because people got access to this printing now, to the printed books now, people will this print will give rise to the religious to the irreligious thoughts. Irreligious thoughts might develop and spread among the people because of now the access to print. And also because of now the print, there are there are chances that rebellious tendencies might grow among the people. They might even spread among the people. So these were the fears which they had, and finally they started criticizing the new printed culture. This new printed culture which flourished, which circulated within no time, just like a wildfire. It was it faced a stiff resistance from these rulers, from these monarchs, from these religious authorities who started questioning it. And in the last lecture, this video lecture, I also told you that this print revolution had its far-reaching effect, far-reaching impact in the sphere of religion. The religion of early modern Europe. The religion of early modern Europe was also influenced by the print. And it was because of this thing that in 1517, a very important development took place. That is a person whose name was Martin Luther. Martin Luther, he was a very important person who had achieved education and who belonged to a very the religious family, Christian family. And this person, Martin Luther, he received education, and after receiving education, he started studying theology, philosophy, and many other things. And after that, even he studied this theology in very deep. And after that, he received his education in the University of Wittenberg. And in the same university, Wittenberg, and in the same university this person was appointed as a professor. He got appointed as a professor in the same university, that is University of Wittenberg. And this person, he was a monk, ये खुद monk था, ये chief religious preacher था, and with it he started criticizing this. He started criticizing the church, especially the Roman Catholic Church. Roman Catholic Church. Because Roman Catholic Church was the hub, it was the center of all the Christian authorities. All the Christian churches, whether they existed in medieval period, or even in early modern period, whether they existed in France, in England, in Germany, they were all under the control, under the guidance, under the supervision of this Roman Catholic Church. So this Roman Catholic Church during medieval period and even up to early modern period, this dominated everything in Europe. This everything was under its control. It was just like an institution which managed everything. And it was because I think that in 1517, a person, that is this Martin Luther, he was himself a monk, as I told you, and he became a religious reformer. Since he was a very important monk, chief preacher, therefore he started talking about the reform. He became religious reform. And in 1517, in the same date, he wrote very important and popular, his famous thesis known as 95 thesis. इसने 95 thesis जो है वो लिख दी. And why these 95 theses were important? This was what the religious authorities and monarchs feared, that with the introduction of the press now, with the introduction of this print, now now people will become aware. One such impact was seen in this, and the person, that is Martin Luther, he became a religious reformer, and he wrote 95 theses. And in these 95 theses, why they are important? In these he criticized Roman Catholic Church. Roman Catholic Church को इसने criticize कर दिया, and especially he criticized its practices and rituals. Even before him, there are many persons, before this Martin Luther, there were many persons who had raised the cry against this, who had raised their voice against this Roman Catholic Church. The mention may be made among them of John Huss and Wycliffe, and even this John Huss, when he raised his voice against the church, was so powerful that even church did not tolerate their voice, and finally this person, that is John Huss, he was burnt alive by the church authorities because of his revolt against the church. But this person, Martin Luther, he got support from many sections of the people, not only from many people, not only from the religious, from some these intellectuals, but also from the rulers of that time. Some rulers, they supported him, and his criticism, his target of criticism was directly the Roman Catholic Church, its practices and these rituals, because Roman Catholic Church, it was believed that this church, Roman Catholic Church, it would be an institution which would be free of corruption, which would be free of bad practices. But with the passage of time, even this Roman Catholic Church, it became a corrupt institution. and many bad practices, many bad evils, they started corrupting into it. And it was because of these evils, in order to reform the church, this person, Martin Luther, raised his voice. Because he himself was being the chief preacher, he knew what were the various challenges that this church was facing. And church had indulged into many bad practices. Like there was a lot of wealth accumulated by the church authorities, like these popes, bishops. Instead of focusing on spirituality, these church authorities, these bishops, these popes, they focused on the materialism, on material things, on accumulating the wealth. That's why the many people, they started, and nobody can at that time question against the church. But because of the practices, with the passage of time, as I told you that there were earlier many attempts which were made by the many people, like John Huss, like this Wycliffe and John Huss. These persons raised their voice against the church, but their voice was finally crushed. It was suppressed. And what then? But this person, Martin Luther, he got support from various people, and because of which he strongly criticized this church, its authorities, its practices, its rituals. And in this regard, he wrote 95 theses. And this 95 thesis became so popular that a printed copy of it was posted on a church door in Wittenberg. विटनबर्ग में चर्च जो था, चर्च के दरवाजे पे जो है, डोर पे जो है, विटनबर्ग में प्रिंटेड कॉपी रखी गई इस 95 thesis की. So was the such was the popularity of this 95 thesis. And this 95 thesis, it directly challenged this 95 thesis. It directly challenged the church. इसने डायरेक्टली चर्च को जो है चैलेंज कर दिया. And even it asked the church authorities to debate. चर्च को बोला गया, चर्च authorities को बोला गया to debate his ideas. इसने डायरेक्टली चैलेंज किया चर्च को, और चर्च वाले जो है, चर्च अथॉरिटीज मजबूर हो गई इसके आइडियाज जो है इस पर डिबेट करने पे. एंड Luther's writings became very popular. And these writings, Luther's writings, these were immediately and quickly, these were reproduced in vast numbers. बहुत सारे numbers में ये reproduce किए गए. And these were even read widely. इनको पढ़ा भी गया widely. बहुत लोगों ने इनको जो है पढ़ा. It became popular among the masses, and because of which its production increased within no time. Many copies of his writings were reproduced. Even his this 95 thesis was reproduced. उसको reproduce किया गया, बार-बार उसको जो है छापा गया, और लोगों की डिमांड उस पे बढ़ रही थी. And even it has been said कि बहुत सारे लोग जो है इसके followers बन गए. And that's why after his death, his followers, who became his followers, who started supporting his ideas, they came to be known as later on Lutherans. उनको Lutherans कहा गया. And finally his ideas, his criticism led to a division. It led to a division. इसके ideas जो थे उनका फाइनली इम्पैक्ट ये पड़ा कि उन्होंने डिवाइड कर दिया. It led divisions within the church. Within church. That means church got divided. Church divide हो गया. And two broad sects emerged. दो बड़े sects जो है emerge हो गए. Two broad sects emerged or developed. One came to be known as, that was within the church, जो church को support कर रहा था, that came to be known as Catholics. Catholics were those, it was the sect which favored, which supported the church authorities, church domination. And there was another important this sect which came to be known as Protestants. उनको Protestants कहा गया. And the why Protestants? This Protestant, it has been derived from the word protest, which means resistance. लोगों की resistance हो गई और इनको Protestant कहा गया. And among these Protestants, Martin Luther was very important. And why? What Martin Luther actually he wanted or demanded? He demanded that there should be reformation. This church should be reformed. ये चाहता था कि चर्च को रिफॉर्म किया जाना चाहिए. चर्च का जो सुफियर है वो बढ़ गया था. इसने कहा कि चर्च जो है, चर्च का असली मकसद ये है, पोप्स का असली मकसद ये है कि वो स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ गुजारें. वो उनको इस दुनिया की नहीं ज़्यादा जो है लगाव, यहाँ इस दुनिया के साथ उनको ज़्यादा मोहब्बत नहीं होनी चाहिए, उनको ज़्यादा लाइकिंग नहीं होनी चाहिए. रादर देन दे शुड फोकस मोर एंड मोर ऑन द लाइफ हियर आफ्टर. जो है यहाँ से जाके जो उनको लाइफ गुजारनी है वो उसी पे फोकस करें, ना कि यहाँ पे ना कि the life in this world. And he believed that these popes, these church authorities, they had deviated from their path. What was their mission? What was their objective purpose? They were not rendering that purpose, rather than they had deviated from their path, and they had taken some wrong. They got involved, indulged in some wrong things, in some wrong practices. Corruption had corrupted into this church. Wealth has corrupted into church. It had become a wealthy institution, political institution even. It was this directing, it was guiding the rulers. So its function was not, इसकी function ये नहीं थी. Its function was not that it had to accumulate wealth. Its purpose was not accumulating wealth, rather than leaving the wealth, rather than giving up the wealth. मगर ये डिबेट हो गए. Therefore, इसने यही कहा. And this came to be known as the followers of these Protestants. Their movement came to be known as Protestant movement. इनकी movement को जो है Protestant movement कहा जाता है. They came to be known as Protestant movement. को Protestant movement कहते हैं because they, through protests, they raised their voice, they challenged the supremacy, domination of this church. And even Luther जो है, Martin Luther, Luther translated Bible, especially its New Testament, and his translation, Luther's translation, his translation of New Testament Bible, it was sold 5,000 copies within a week. Within a few weeks. कुछ ही हफ्तों में जो है मार्टिन ल्यूथर ने जो ट्रांसलेशन की इस बाइबल के न्यू टेस्टामेंट पार्ट की, उनकी 5000 कॉपीज जो है कुछ ही वीक्स में सोल्ड की गई, भेजी गई। एंड इवन इट इज सेकंड एडिशन जो है, इट इज सेकंड एडिशन, जब इसकी सेकंड एडिशन आई, इट इज सेकंड एडिशन कब अपीयर हो गई, इट इज सेकंड दिस एडिशन अपीयर्ड विद इन 3 months, 3 ही मंथ्स में, महीनों में इसकी जो है नई दूसरी एडिशन छप गई। इतनी ज्यादा पॉपुलर थी, इतनी ज्यादा पॉपुलर ये बन गई। एंड दिस पर्सन, Martin Luther, he thanked even this print, इसने प्रिंट की तारीफ की है और इसने जो है शुक्र अदा किया है। he says or he said that Luther said that print is the ultimate gift of God and the greatest one. ये कहता था मार्टिन ल्यूथर की ग्रुप, इसने थैंक जो है शुक्रिया किया इस प्रिंट का, कहा कि प्रिंट जो है ये बहुत, ये जो है ये अल्टीमेट गिफ्ट है, ये बहुत अच्छा गिफ्ट है और इसके साथ साथ ये बहुत बड़ा गिफ्ट है गॉड का। गॉड ने हमें बहुत बड़ा गिफ्ट जो है, बहुत बड़े तोहफे से नवाजा है। एंड विद इन नो टाइम, बिकॉज ऑफ द print helped in spreading his ideas, and because of his ideas many people became his followers. As I told you, many people, they got influencer, जो मैंने अभी कहा कि इसके फॉलोअर्स को लिथरियंस कहा जाता है। इसके मानने के बाद many people, intellectuals, social religious, these persons, they were influencer. Many people were influenced by his ideas and thoughts. इसके thoughts और ideas से बहुत सारे लोग जो है वो impress हो गए, वो influence हो गए, मुतासिर हो गए। And these persons, they raised their voice, they protested against among them many scholars also, it also included many scholars, बहुत सारे scholars भी इसके साथ थे जिन्होंने जो इन्फ्लुएंस हो गए इसके आइडियाज से। एंड they started protesting, raising their voice against the Roman Catholic Church, and that's how the print जो है, that's how print brought a new intellectual atmosphere, a new atmosphere, intellectual atmosphere, in which intellectuals, scholars, teachers, even professors, they got involved in this movement. And so this print, because of the print, all this was possible. This intellectual atmosphere was possible because of the print. The people started questioning. Before this Reformation, before this Protestant Reformation, there was a rule that no one could question the church authorities, the church. But now, because of this Martin Luther, because of his ideas, because of his contribution role, that all the people got aware and they started questioning the church authorities, their domination in every sphere, in politics, in society, in religion, and also their accumulation of wealth, their indulgence in various bad practices and malpractices, evilness, and also the corruption that had corrupted into church, Roman Catholic Church. And it was because of things that in Europe a new movement came into being that came to be known as Reformation Movement. इसी से जो है इसने ground prepare किया. These ideas were spread far and wide, and because of which a movement came into being. A movement was started that came to be known as Reformation Movement. इससे Reformation Movement जो है, actually these Protestant reformers, they came to be known as their movement came to be known as Protestant Reformation or also Reformation movement. इसी को Reformation movement कहते हैं, and its purpose of the aim of this Reformation movement was actually to rectify the wrong things that had corrupted into the church, Roman Catholic Church. They wanted to reform the Roman Catholic Church. They were not against the religion, rather than they wanted to reform the Roman Catholic Church. And it is because of this thing that many people, many reformers, Protestants, they started raising their voice in protesting, raising their voice against this Roman Catholic Church in different parts of Europe, like in England, in France, in Switzerland, and many other countries, Scandinavian countries, and etc., in Spain, etc. So among them, many people participated. They became leaders of this Reformation movement in different countries. Their role cannot be neglected, and one important person among them was John Calvin. John Calvin जो है ये भी एक important person था, and likewise there was this एक और person था, एक और great personality थी जिसने इसमें जिस Ulrich Zwingli. He was also important person, and these persons, John Calvin, whether it was John Calvin, this Ulrich Zwingli, all these persons, they protested, they challenged the Christian, this church domination, and they started questioning the church authorities, and their protest came to be known as Reformation. Their movement came to be known as Reformation, which this Reformation movement, it reached to its peak. It spread near about through in all parts of Europe in 16th century. In 16th century, this movement, Reformation movement, which began the Reformation movement, which became in 1517. This Reformation movement, it reached to its peak. It spread throughout Europe in the 16th century. 16th century में ये पूरे यूरोप में फैल गई. So this was all about the topic. This was all about the impact that this print had on the religion of the time, and how in the movement, that's this Reformation movement, how it contributed towards awakening the people, towards making the people aware about the bad practices, evils that were prevalent at that time in the Roman Catholic Church. So this was all about this today's topic. Hope you have understood this well. Thank you.